Hey everyone. I was in a relationship from when I was 21 to about 24, and I've been single since. Um, there was a myriad of reasons of why it didn't work out. I'm not saying it was all his fault or all my fault. We both just wanted to move on. Um, it wasn't working out. I may still be in a relationship. I might be married. I might be looking to have kids, but that's not the path that happened. There really isn't a lot of guys that I'm attracted to. It doesn't have to do with, it doesn't really have to do with like money, status, or good looks, which is subjective in my opinion. There's just specific characteristics I favor about a guy's appearance and personality. So usually first I want to be attracted to his appearance on some level, and then I want to see if we can connect on an emotional level. The narrative I'm going to be talking about are these discussions online, like in the Manosphere or conservative spaces, where the argument is that women are wired to procreate and care for children, and men are wired to spread their seed and provide. Online, I see how men will complain, and I think it's a certain type of men. I don't think this represents what all men are thinking, but what they'll do is, kind of rant online about women rejecting them or dating bad guys or sleeping around until they're ready to settle down, like after 30 or 35, and then they'll look for a spouse or a provider. So basically, they'll have these appeal to nature or evolutionary psychology or religious arguments. But what they're looking at is that women aren't really going for those roles today. So they attribute that to like a conspiracy theory, like, oh, women are being brainwashed by feminism or they're being indoctrinated in school. And I don't think that's it. Yeah, it is true. In certain instances, people will get with the times, follow the crowd, go with the trends, but I wouldn't necessarily call that indoctrination. But yeah, I wouldn't say that is the case for everyone or the whole story. So basically, in psychology, you learn about two main things, and that is nature and nurture. So you have your instincts, and then you have your environment, which helps shape your thinking and behavior. So often the answer is right down the middle. Your thinking and behavior is based on the cumulative effect that your environment has on your nature. So as humans, we're kind of anomalies to nature, because while we are natural beings and everything that we do is natural, we technically are living in man-made environments. What I think is, as a result of that, you have a variety in human thought and behavior, because we have the ability to realize things in several different ways, more than being a slave to nature and biology. Biology is not static, it adapts and changes, and humans use rationality and thinking more than just instinct. I think is an argument to be made for traditionalism and gender roles and that sort of thing, but logic can work in many ways, and it doesn't mean truth. So just because traditionalism, gender roles, it worked out that way in the past doesn't mean it continues. It needs to continue to be the default for everyone. So like having children is natural. Does that mean that people who choose not to have children are unnatural? No, that's not what that means. It means they assess the situation for themselves, and out of their own free will decided not to have children. I've seen women get married in their early 20s and have children in their early 20s. I've seen women in long-term relationships in their 20s and then break up and move on to another relationship. I've seen women focus on their school and work in their 20s and not even bother at all with the opposite sex. I've seen women, sleep around in their early 20s and then get into a relationship like in their late 20s or 30s. So I've seen it all. What I've seen the most is, women kind of being in like maybe a couple relationships or a long-term relationship and then getting married in like late 20s or early 30s and then having children around that time. So what it kind of seems like is that women are adapting to the modern society we live in and gravitating toward what avenue offers the best outcomes for them. I've seen a bit of variety with men as well, and a lot of these sort of men, like in the Manosphere and such, they want to sleep around until like 35 or 40, not wanting children, and then become established in their career, and then find a younger woman like in mid-20s or so. These men often have like a sense of anger. I think it's because younger women often prefer men around their own age, or if they do like older men, they're looking for stability. So they're looking for a man that's been married or been in relationships. So some women have or want this sort of lifestyle too, although women are more likely to prefer someone around their own age. And these same men shame these women, it seems the most. They got their education, maybe they slept around, they traveled, and now they're wanting to settle down now that they're in their 30s. Maybe they were just in some unsuccessful relationships. These men still view them the same, it seems. I'm not sure why they shame these women when they're basically in the same boat as them. I think it might be an ego issue. To be that involved with what women who you don't even know are doing with their lives. I think it might be because they're scared. They're talking about the woman's age, but they too are getting older every day. I think the root of their problem is insecurity, which may be why they put off getting into a relationship until they felt more, until they could feel more secure about themselves. I mean, if they're wanting this sort of lifestyle, I don't know why they wouldn't think that there wouldn't be women out there who would also want this sort of lifestyle. I think there are subtle differences between the genders, but I think you would find more variation within gender. But I think they're thinking there's some vast difference between the genders, and I don't really think so. They think that men and women want different things out of life, that women are desperate for a relationship, and that men just want to sleep around until they're ready to settle down. And they shame women for getting older as if men aren't getting older. So I don't really get the point in that. There's nothing that can be done about someone's biology. I mean, in prehistoric times, maybe you would have been lucky to live to 50, so I don't know why we just can't be grateful that we all get to live longer lives. I mean, would you rather die young? It is true that women have more limitations as far as fertility. Men are more fertile than women. Women are only fertile 5 days out of the month, and men are always fertile. Bearing a child is also a lot more than what the man has to do. But are women's eggs all depleted by age 30? No. That is based on some French records from 1700s. The women weren't really in the peak health, and the couples were probably trying to avoid pregnancy. There was a more accurate data study from the U.S. From the early data from the early 1900s before the use of birth control, and women had children until up around the age 40, and then there was a decline at that point in birth rates until around 45. And then there was, a sharper decline to, almost no pregnancies after that. So, yeah, fertility issues under age 40, they don't really have anything to do with age. So, yes, there are always risks with pregnancies, and those risks do go up after about age 35. And also fertility issues for men and women. The rate is still low, especially if you're healthy. So yeah, there is evidence that women's fertility is improving, and that people are aging slower. Maybe science will be able to help one day. So yeah, if a woman wants a family, she could still very much do that at age 35. After 40 is probably rolling dice. I mean, the situation is not as grave as they're making it seem. They normally want women to have, babies right away in their 20s, so I don't know what the difference is. So I'm all for people doing what is right for them and living how they want to live and having different goals, having different motives. If a person just wants to be single for the rest of their lives, and I'm all for them. If a man or woman is looking for just sex, then I'm for them getting their goal. If they're looking for a marriage with a younger or an older person, then I'm for them getting their goal. If they're looking for money, then I'm for them getting their goal. Everyone has a match out there for what they want. There's no need to go shaming people because they aren't a match for you. I hear these people in the Manosphere talk about bad relationships they went into and bad experiences they've had. And what you find is these people were looking for love where they shouldn't have been, out of desperation and thinking it's better than being alone. And from my perspective, I'm thinking, is being single really that bad? Being with someone seems like more of a hassle. I don't think it's a bad thing, but being single is just normal, and a relationship kind of complicates things. To me, I don't think a relationship is worth the work if you're not in a good place for a relationship and the person is not the most ideal for you. Why would I put in all the effort for someone I'm not emotionally invested in? Often it sounds like they didn't wait for that to happen and we're just looking to jump into a relationship with someone. What I'm seeing from these men is a lot of projection. They're saying that men no longer want modern women and that they don't have any options, but I don't think that's it. I think women are being selective. They complain about mistakes or lapses in judgment some women make while they're young and immature, while they make the same sort of mistakes, such as like only going for like a blonde baddies or like Instagram model types or sleeping around in their 20s. They don't allow for women to grow and mature in their view of the world. They think women should already be knowing exactly what to be doing. There are some men and some women who fear being alone, who fear getting older, etc. I don't think it has to do with gender. I think there are some studies done that show that women actually cope better being single. Me personally, I enjoy being single and I enjoy being in a relationship. I didn't get into a relationship because I was just dying to be in a relationship. I got into a relationship because it worked out at the time. Otherwise, I would have been happy single, focusing on my school and work. If I'm single for the rest of my life, I don't really care. If I get into a relationship, great, and I hope it works out. I'm fine single, but I would prefer to be in a relationship with the right man for me. I truly believe if men have a problem with women being single, it's in their hands to control. Women love hard, so you just need to figure out how to come with something sensible and not make women fall out of love with you instead of making the same mistakes over and over again and getting bitter and resorting to shaming and manipulation tactics.